Pastor Cal says, but you said you wanted someone to be with that would make you guys a power couple, that you could walk in a room and both of you guys could work the room. She's qualified in that position and everything that you said you wanted. Yeah, she's qualified in everything I said I wanted. I just don't like her face. It's the face for me. Excuse me? Hey guys, welcome to our channel. I'm Suga, this is
Spice.
And today we're going to be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 13. But before we get into that, we want to say, of course, thank you for watching and tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sugar and Spice 88. Also, make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get all the notifications on whenever we drop a video. All right, let's get into it.
We're going to start with Jacob and Haley. So Jacob is meeting up with Pastor Cal, and Jacob is bringing up how he doesn't feel like he's connected with Haley. He doesn't feel like they have, like, she wants to be connected with him. He doesn't feel comfortable trying to connect with her. So,
Same old.
Yeah, so, I mean, he does say that he's physically attracted to her, but he just doesn't feel wanted, so he's at a standstill there. So he said, Pastor Cal asked him, what's the one question you would like to ask her to get some clarity on where you guys went wrong? And he actually says that he would like to know what happened in Vegas that made her pull back. And that's a valid question, because since Vegas, it's been like all downhill from there. Haley is with Dr. Pepper. And with Haley says same thing. She can't find a connection with him. Dr. Pepper actually says it's probably because you guys don't know each other on a deeper level. And they literally don't talk about anything but surface stuff. She says that one of the questions that she asks him is, you know, you've been here for 10 years. You know, what have you been doing? And he just never gave her a real answer. So
he says, I don't know, just dating. So you mean to tell me you moved here
10 years?
For 10 years. And all you have to come up with is dating. There's like some kind of block. Like, yes, majority of this I feel like is Haley's fault. In their conversations that I've seen, he's just very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Very super boring.
It's weird. It's a cycle, because I feel like Jacob is dry with Haley because he doesn't feel wanted. And then because he doesn't feel wanted, he chooses to keep to himself, and because he chooses to keep to himself, Haley feels like he doesn't communicate. So it's like a weird, like, never-ending circle
when they both don't realize
of nothingness. Yeah, that they're both keep going because they're feeding off each other's negative energy. So it's just going nowhere. But then Haley starts crying, talking about she feels like, you know, the expectations that she has for herself. She's failing herself. She's failing in this marriage.
She also said she is used. The therapist asked her, are you sensitive to other people's expectations? And then she just, you know, because my parents, they had high expectations. And basically, she's saying that all her life people have had extremely high expectations that she just could not meet, and the pressure really got to her, and now she feels like she's in a similar situation, and I guess it's making her emotional. Then Jacob and Haley, after they both talk to, you know, Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, they both meet up together. And they're talking and they're asking each other questions. And, you know, Haley reveals some things about a past relationship makes her kind of the way she is. And, you know, they're both revealing things to each other that this is stuff you guys should have been talking about a long time ago, while all the other couples were talking about religion, how do you want to raise your kids, and things like that, politics. You guys were talking about, do you like frozen or fresh asparagus better?
Right.
You know, I don't know what y'all were doing all this time besides arguing and talking about vegetables. But these are the conversations that you should have been having to try to get to know each other on a deeper level.
Right.
So then all of a sudden, after they have this one conversation, now it's like, so do you want to try again? Yeah, let's try it again. What?
This is like their fourth reset.
After 50
I'm not
weeks?
even exaggerating. But it's, I mean, if y'all want to go through it, I guess.
I could have swore she just said last week she still wasn't attracted to him, but if you like it, I love it. So next we have Chris and Paige. So Paige meets up with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is basically kind of being apologetic to Paige, saying that on paper, you guys look good together. On paper, Chris looked like a perfect match for you. We had no idea what a mess he was, what a mess his life was behind the curtain. She says that you, Paige, are the superior human being, and if he wasn't such a narcissist, he would be able to see that. So then Paige goes, you know, it's one thing if it was just us having compatibility issues, but the fact that there's a whole nother person involved, that's the part. And
Paige.
It's like, Paige, what are you talking about? Because
Day
person
2.
involved, no person involved, whatever. He still told you he wasn't attracted to you.
Day 2, he told you that, girl. The morning after the wedding, he told you.
After y'all just slept together that morning.
Twice. That he was not attracted to you. So the compatibility issues was there. Day 2.
You did not care.
He said he's not attracted to you. And you didn't want to take no for an answer.
Right. Like,
so even if it's not Mercedes Paige, it's still not going to be you.
Matter of fact, you're the last option.
Matter of fact, you're not even an option.
You're the convenient option.
Girl.
Anyway, we digress. Dr. Pepper says, you know, I even have the question for Chris why he wanted you to meet with his ex-fiance so bad. And Paige says, you know, I have that question for him too. Furthermore, I want to know why he felt like he had to share with me that he purchased her a brand new Mercedes. And Dr. Pepper says, to hurt you, because there literally is no other purpose to do what he did and say what he did. And I think you said this in one of our reviews, like at this point, he's kind of getting a kick out of it. He gets something out of hurting Paige and kind of breaking down her self-esteem. He gets something out of the yo-yo effect, the back and forth thing that he does with her.
Then Paige says that she just needs to face him on decision day. She just needs to understand what or why he would just be so quick to get rid of their union in a week.
You know what you need to face, Paige?
Reality.
You know what you need to face? Your insecurities.
That part.
You know what you need to face? Why the heck would you let him run you through the mud, up the hill, and roll you back down again?
And then literally say to Dr. Pepper and us that you want to give him an opportunity on decision day to do it again. Man. Why you want to give him a platform?
Why do you need to talk to him?
Talk negatively about you. He don't got nothing good to say about you. He hasn't had nothing good to say about you this whole time. What's gonna change on decision day? Like, how many conversations that you had? You had one conversation where he said he was not attracted to you. The next conversation where he said he still loves his ex. The next conversation where he bought her a Mercedes. The next conversation where he says that he doesn't see this working out. The conversations don't get better. Like, just let the conversations go and stop talking to this man.
Now we switch over to Chris. Matter of fact, we don't switch over to Chris. We switch over to Pastor Cal in his office, waiting, where he was supposed to be expecting Chris to arrive at 7, and it's now 7:43, and Chris is still not there. Pastor Cal says, so we finna wrap it up, huh? Everybody, production?
Y'all ready
we
to
done?
go?
All right, cool. They're about to shut down production, and of course, guess who walks in? King Tut out here. Come strolling in. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Sorry about that, my bad. No, I just didn't almost have y'all waiting for an hour. A whole production team. So Pastor Cal is talking to Chris about this situation with Paige, how everything went wrong. And he says, well, let's just start with Paige is not the type of girl that I would ever approach on my own. Well, what do you mean? I mean, if I seen her in a bar or something, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I need to holler at her. Pastor Cal says, but you said you wanted someone to be with that would make you guys a power couple, that you could walk in a room and both of you guys could work the room. She's qualified in that position and everything that you said you wanted. Yeah, she's qualified in everything I said I wanted. I just don't like her face. It's the face for me. I just don't like the face. Excuse me?
Then he says, I'm not even that picky though. You know what I'm saying, Pastor Cal? Like, there's so many millions of women in Atlanta. Black queens, white queens, Hispanic queens. Listen, out of all the women that you could have chose, she's the only one that's like, ugh.
It's like, could you possibly be more rude and have less tact? Could you? Then he laughs after he says that. He does a little chuckle like it's funny. Pastor Cal says, no, I'm not going to take that. This is what you asked for. And you said you were open. So what were we supposed to do with that? And Chris goes on to say, this is you guys' fault. This is the expert's responsibility to pick the perfect match.
Oh, God.
Y'all should have known that she's not the type. Never any accountability from Chris.
He even goes to say he feels like he handled this situation to the best of his ability.
So Pastor Cal says, so you feel like while you're married to Paige, buying your ex a brand new Mercedes was the best of your ability?
Well, Paige could have came with us. She could have came.
The way Pastor Cal's brain exploded, I felt that.
Yeah.
You know, the stress that he was feeling, I've been feeling all season. We're all in this together.
Yo.
We finna start a support group at this point because it's really ridiculous.
So then Pastor Cal goes and says, yo, there's no way possible in your right mind you think that it would have made sense for Paige to tag along for you to buy your ex-fiance a Mercedes. Here go Chris. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I bought Mercedes a Mercedes because...
You think it's funny?
You think this is a joke. You
think
had to throw in Mercedes a Mercedes? That was your pun?
So at this point, Pastor Cal is done. And he's like, you know what? I can't talk any good sense into this boy. So let's get down to the bare minimum. At the very least, you owe Paige an apology. I can't apologize for that.
Like, she never had to know that you bought her that car. Y'all could have just got a divorce.
You knew you had no intentions on being with her. So why even tell her that and act like, oh, you know, I had to tell you because you're my wife? No. You would have told her prior to buying the car if that was the case. You literally told her to just stomp on her heart.
That and because he wanted to flex on TV. Then he goes on to say, yeah, you know, I have to have an inheritance, my legacy. I'm going to be buying Mercedes a house next.
Man, bye, Chris.
She's still pregnant at this point. Baby's not even nowhere close to being here. And then you're buying the Mercedes. You got to get a house next. Y'all not even together. She said that she don't even want to be with you. And you talking about getting a house next? Every opportunity is just about bragging about his finances. That's all he's good for. So then at that point, we go into the next scene and Paige is moving out of the apartment that Chris never moved into. And like, that's the end of that. I don't know if you guys saw that preview for Decision Day. Somehow we get back into this tangled web of destruction. I don't know how. I don't know. We gonna find out.
That's how.
So now we move on to Virginia and Erik. Their opening scene actually starts with the sister, Virginia's sister and her nephew stopping by for a visit. So they stop by and Virginia is just like getting to catch up her sister a little bit with Erik and everybody there. So Virginia brings up one of their conflicts, which is where they're gonna move in after this. And she says, you know, the condo versus her apartment being open, her apartment that she has for rent being up in January versus them moving into a mutual place together is pretty much what they're trying to figure out. So at that point, Erik decides that he's going to take Rocky out for a walk. So then Virginia's sister says, okay, yeah, you guys want to go with him, take him for a walk? As soon as Erik walks out the door with the kids, Virginia's sister asks, am I okay to trust my kids with him? Which I thought was a weird question to ask because you just threw your kids out with him.
Like you just suggested
for your kids to go. And then, even weirder, Virginia does this weird, long, awkward pause and says, I never seen him with kids. Like, what? He starts talking because he's not there. And she says that one of their biggest differences is the political views and that he's extremely controlling. And
she didn't even see, everyone is trying to mask their issues so hardcore. I mean, he's a little more controlling than I would like him to be.
No, he's controlling AF.
Like, stop lying.
And she just says that she just wants to, like, understand and hope that they could see each other's sides and point of view and find mutual common ground.
Virginia's sister, in her confessional, they gave the sister a confessional, says that, well, Virginia hasn't really been in a lot of serious relationships. They need to take their time, especially before having kids. They need to take time to get to know each other a little more before they have children. She also says, I hope basically that they're not stuck in the honeymoon phase and they're not seeing everything with rose-colored glasses on, and they're really focusing in on trying to solve the issues that they have at hand.
She know her sister.
We switch scenes to Virginia meeting up with Pastor Cal. So he basically asks her how everything's going, and she says, well, you know, the good days are really good and the bad days are bad. He says, welcome to marriage. So then he basically was asking how their communicating is going. And she says, well, we attempt to talk about most things.
Keep it 100, Virginia. Y'all don't ever finish a discussion because every time it gets hard, y'all stop and table it.
And that's why I feel like that was an accurate description, because they attempt. They don't get anywhere with it. Right. They don't resolve anything.
They don't.
They start to talk, and then when it gets a little too cringy, a little too awkward, a little too deep,
it's over.
One of them walks away, come back, nothing happens. Like the Men in Black flashlight. So what did you say you wanted for dinner?
She says that one of her biggest issues is that he keeps saying that he's done. So he brought up that if she doesn't want any kids, that he's done. And that's one of her biggest pet peeves. And not for nothing, that's my biggest pet peeve too. Stop threatening divorce. Stop giving me an ultimatum. It's super immature, it's disrespectful, and it doesn't show that you want to stay married. Virginia has deep abandonment issues. So you keep threatening to leave her or end the marriage is triggering her. So
every time something doesn't go your way, you're just going to throw divorce on the table? Like a daggone draw for?
For that, I might as well just be by myself and not have to deal with waiting for you to threaten me to leave me. So then Virginia says that she has a fear of being pregnant and she has a fear of being a bad mom. Pastor Cal asks, why do you have this fear? She says, well, I have a natural fear of being pregnant because, getting pregnant. And Pastor Cal kind of brushes over it like, oh yeah, no, but you're fine. You're a woman,
You'll get over that.
And I have an issue with this. Women are dying, giving birth every single mother effing day. So her fear of getting pregnant and having a child is a natural, legitimate, valid fear. We're not about to brush over this. Like, just because she's a woman equals she could just produce,
she was just
create,
born for this, to do this.
And birth a healthy baby with no complications whatsoever. Like, there's complications left and right from the point of conception to postpartum. There's complications and issues that can arise. So for y'all to just keep acting like, oh yeah, this is Mother Nature, this is natural. You're just, that's what women do. They get pregnant and have babies. Like, you'll be fine. I just don't like that. Like, acknowledge her fear, validate her fear.
It's legitimate.
Yes, validate that fear, and talk through it with her. So then she talks about being a bad mom, and she says that she just doesn't want to screw up her kids. Another valid point. This part he gave good advice for. I'll give him that. Pastor Cal says that having presence of mind and understanding enough to not want to mess up and to want to be a good mom is good, because honestly, at the end of the day, if you go into motherhood thinking like you about to just kill it, it's gonna be easy, you got this, you leave a lot of room to be let down. But if you have a fear of being a bad mom, that means you're gonna try that much harder to be a good mom. Virginia's biggest quality that she looks for in this marriage is loyalty. Rewinding back to with Erik, and when he continues to try and throw divorce in her face, it just speaks to her abandonment issues, and it just makes her feel like he is not in it for forever and that he's not going to. And she just needs somebody that she knows that she can count on. No matter how much they argue, what happens, they'll always be together. And for that, I don't think Erik is the one.
It really is his way or the highway.
It is.
So I hope you got a backpack, because you're finna be on a highway. So now we switch scenes to Erik meeting up with Dr. Pepper, and she asks what are his concerns. And of course he brings up Rocky, and he tells her all about his Rocky issues, Rocky trauma, Rocky problems. And she's like, bruh, let it go, okay? It's not that serious. She used the analogy, you know, if she was a child from another marriage, you wouldn't just expect her to give you full reign and discipline and everything, you know, over the child. You would want a natural relationship to grow over time. So that's what you need to do. Just let it go and let it happen naturally. His next concern is that, you know, I like that she's independent, but she's too independent. Too independent for me. It's like a problem at this point. What you really mean to say is that she's too independent for me to control. Really want like more of a Stepford wife type situation, stay-at-home mom, and Virginia's out here in the streets. She's living her best life. She wants to travel, she wants to party, she wants to have fun and have her friends, and you don't want her having an outside life. You want to be her life. As a compromise to Virginia going out with her friends every weekend, Dr. Pepper says, perhaps you should suggest that one weekend out of the month specifically goes to you and her, and then she can have the other times with her friends. So Dr. Pepper says that she realized that one thing about them is that the alcohol for them is an issue. It seems to either cause an argument or make arguments worse when they're both drinking. And, you know, she basically suggested that they cut back on the drinking. She says, you know, it's fine to be able to express your opinion without that going on between you two. You should have clear, sober mind, and you can just tell her your opinion without being cruel. She says, you know, you can be honest without being cruel, right? And Erik says, you know, it's just really hard for me to draw that line. Honesty and cruelty, how does that, what in your mind makes you think that they go hand in hand?
They don't.
Because honesty can be a compliment sometimes. It's not always a negative. You can see someone and like their hair and tell them you like their hair, and that's honesty. Why are you making it a cruel thing? That doesn't even make any sense. So basically what you're saying is you're unable to express yourself without you being hurtful and harmful to Virginia and her feelings.
That's because he's never had to think about what he says before he says it. He's a guy who just says whatever is on his mind, and it's up to you to figure out how you want to take it. But whatever he says is what he says. He's not going to apologize for it. He's not going to care about it. He doesn't have to be responsible for it. So he doesn't have too much experience with being tactful and choosing to be delicate about his words.
It's not so much that I don't know where to draw the line more than it is I have no self-control.
Pretty much.
So now we go to the scene where Erik comes home to Virginia. Virginia asks him, hey, what did you and Dr. Pepper talking about? He said, well, first of all, she said, let the Rocky situation go. Virginia's like, booyah, in your face. He says, one thing I learned from Dr. Pepper is that a lot of our arguments come from us drinking. Drinking is a problem for us. We do it too much. We do it too often. And then when we do it, we get into it. And not only do we get into it, we say worse things than we would if we were sober. Right. So he says, I think the next time we have a discussion, and especially if it's of a serious nature, we should just make sure we're completely sober before we have our discussion. And Virginia just says, I don't want to talk about this. Because we said earlier before that we weren't sure if Virginia really had a drinking problem or if it's just that the producers edited it that way to make it look like she was just out here drunky McDrunk drunk. But that right there lets me know that you have a drinking problem. Because if he's telling you, not even in a controlling manner, but more so, you know, for us to be able to effectively communicate, I think it's best if we talk with sober minds. And you're like, I don't want to talk about this. It's like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So then Virginia shares with him her fears about being a mom and about being pregnant. She says that she doesn't like that he constantly gives her an ultimatum, and, you know, it really makes her feel insecure and like he's going to run away. If she can't have kids, it's going to be a problem. And then he says, babe, it's not an ultimatum. It's a deal breaker.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. What are you talking about? Virginia says, it makes me feel like you would leave. What if, I have complications and I can't have a baby? He says that he wouldn't go anywhere. They'll figure it out, work through it together. And I just feel like he's lying.
Oh, he is.
Eric, you are not that. This ain't that. That ain't this. You're not that kind of guy.
You're not.
It's, like I said, your way or the highway. So I don't even know why he's saying that. Just
manipulation.
TV. Mm-hmm. Erik brings up the suggestion that Dr. Pepper gave him with asking her for one weekend so that they could have that to themselves and the rest she can have to her friends. And she says, sure, as long as you tell me in advance. And he says, well, I can't tell you in advance. You know, sometimes you're just going to have to cancel one of your weekends for me. And she says, no, I'm not freaking doing that. And he says, well, with my job, I can't plan in advance. So you're just going to have to learn to cancel stuff for me. And then they just go back and forth. It's just, it's a constant cycle with Erik and Virginia. They act like everything's perfect and they're lovey-dovey and they're skipping and holding hands into the sunset. And then 5 seconds later, it's a big blowout.
It's not compatible on, like, even the basic levels of compatibility. They're not compatible.
Definitely not long-term.
So next we start off with Vincent and Brianna. And we start off pretty much going over their monthly budget. Vincent mentioned something about wanting to buy a house. So they're typing into the computer and Bri is saying, oh yeah, how much do you spend on hair? He's like 40. She's like, oh, okay, I'm like around 250. So we have that. Then she says, how much on clothes? She says, oh, I'm about $400 a month on clothes. So then we have that. And then he's like, how much on entertainment? And then he's like, maybe $200 on entertainment. And he was like, $200? $200 is like one dinner. We're like, oh my God.
The way Vincent was stressed.
Yo, the whole time he's like sweating. By the time they tally everything up, we looking over $9,000 a month. Vincent is like keeping it all pretty much to himself, but he just mentions that we're gonna have to make some cuts. And Bri mentions, she doesn't want to sacrifice too much.
She says she works hard. She basically wants to play harder.
So then we go into Vincent with Pastor Cal. Vincent brings up that their communication styles are pretty different. He says that Bri is more assertive in her communication style, organized, wants things her way. And he says that he just kind of has a short attention span, so he kind of goes with the flow kind of person. So they clash there. Then he brings up not wanting to get up in the morning. He says that he works all day, he's driving all day, and when he gets home, he just wants to relax, and then the next day he wants to sleep in. But Bri wants to be tapping on his shoulder, waking him up in the morning. And he's like, yo, like, do I have to deal with that or not, Pastor Cal? No, you don't gotta deal with that. Communicate.
Stand up for yourself.
Yes, like just tell her I want to stay asleep.
It's like he's always tiptoeing because he doesn't want to ruffle her feathers. But
that's not being married.
You're constantly eating everything. You're about to have a whole heart attack, stressed at the budget, and did not say a word. Yeah, we could just cut back a little bit. When really inside, he like, oh, heck no! $9,000 a month, are you crazy? But outside, he's like, oh, that's crazy.
Swallowing it. Like, what are you doing? Then we go to Bri, and Bri is with Dr. Pepper. So Bri actually brings up the communication styles too. She says that Vincent doesn't really let her know when things are bothering him, and she wants to know so that, they can move forward and communicate better in the future. And she's on point. Then she brings up the finances, but in a weird way. She says she doesn't understand why financial stability is so important to him.
Is that not important to you?
Is that not important to everybody?
Who doesn't want financial stability?
Then she says he wants to budget for the future. Why are we saying it like it's a bad thing?
I don't even when they were doing the budget, she was like, I don't see why we have to cut back on entertainment so we can save. Did you hear what you just said?
Very, very weird.
To save.
But then she does bring up valid points. She says that she has a really huge fear of pregnancy and childbirth. She said that she has a pre-existing condition with having high blood pressure. So obviously getting pregnant will come with a lot more risks with having high blood pressure already. So we actually did a little bit of research on what having high blood pressure means prior to getting pregnant and what kind of risks is really involved. A couple of things that we saw was birth defects, organ failure, preterm labor. You also have the risk of heart failure and heart disease in the future. And then, of course, death for mom or baby or both. So Brianna has a extremely valid fear.
And that's the short list.
And there's more. It's extremely risky for her to get pregnant.
Especially as a Black woman, we have a higher rate of dying while giving birth than
any other race.
Right. So, that's not something you kind of want to breeze over.
So then Brianna and Vincent get together and they talk about what they spoke about, between Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal. And so Vincent brings up, wanting to sleep in and not wanting to be disrupted early in the morning. So he says, Bri, at the end of the day, what's going to be the compromise? Bri says, you could just go to sleep earlier so that you'll have more energy to wake up earlier. And he says that is not a compromise. I want to know a compromise. So what do you think we could work out? I don't know. Go to sleep early.
Well, one thing I noticed about him is if she pushes hard enough, he'll just give in.
He won't.
When they were doing the budget and he was saying, no, we should do 200 for this. And she's like, well, what about 250? And then even when she was typing it in, she added an extra $50 on top of what they had already agreed upon. And he was just he's deep side, but you don't say anything.
Right.
You have to speak up. Or else what's going to happen is you're just going to let her keep rolling over you, build up resentment and frustration. And then it's just going to blow up one day.
Mm-hmm. And you're partly to blame. So Brianna brings up the birth fear, and Vincent doesn't really get it, I could tell. He just kind of listens and he just is kind of quiet. In his mind, he's taking it like, oh my gosh, she doesn't want to give me a family. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to have kids, and he's seeing all his dreams just be shattered right in front of him when she's just saying that she has a fear. She's saying that she has a valid, health condition that can dramatically affect her ability to give you a child. And at that, a healthy child, because, like we said, birth defects, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I don't think he really understands this because really, you may be able to get her pregnant. She may be able to bring a child into the world, but she's risking her life when she brings that child into the world.
Exactly.
So this whole family portrait picture that you have, it may not even be that. She says she wants to get pregnant. You get the baby, you get the child, and then you don't have her.
So that's a new issue arising. Usually they don't really have very many problems. So, with the exception of the communication, which is also a big one. So them not really agreeing on the kids right now because he wants to have kids like today. And she's like 3-4 years, we'll see, we'll figure it out later down the line. That and the communication thing, I feel like it's workable, but also it could be the end if it's not taken care of properly and quickly.
Okay, so next and last scene is Ryan and Clara. So Ryan is in the chair with Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper asks, how's the relationship? And he's like, it's a magnetic attraction. The connection is instant. It's effortless. It's so strong. There's no complaints. Okay. She says, okay, can you think of any challenges that you guys are facing within the relationship at this point? Honestly, Dr. Pepper, no. I can't think of anything. No, nothing comes to mind. So Dr. Pepper challenges him and says, well, both your parents are ministers, right? Yeah, they are. Okay, so maybe religion and you wanting the kids to grow up religious, maybe that might be an obstacle for you guys. Well, yeah, that is true. I know she said that she's not really religious and I would never ever push her on that. But I do want my kids to grow up with religion, with Christianity as their religion. So that is important to me. Okay, that's something that you may want to bring up. Then Dr. Pepper says, how does Clara feel about, you guys not being intimate as of yet? I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask her. It's just, you're so magnetic. It's an instant connection. You can't keep your hands off each other, but you haven't had sex, and not only have you not had sex, you don't even know how she feels about not having sex yet.
You don't even care to ask, really.
So then we go into Clara with Pastor Cal. Now, Clara, talk about putting on a performance. Because Pastor Cal asks, how's everything going so far? And she's like, this is like the best case scenario. Everything is going so well. This is perfect. Everything is amazing. Then Pastor Cal says, okay, well, out of 10, like, what would you rate it? 10 out of 10.
And you see how they're both skip a beat on the same page. You see how, like I said before, I feel like Ryan talks to her behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. We're good. This is our marriage now. Mm-hmm. This is our business. We're going to keep what happens in this house stays in this house. They showed her on that camera venting about her sexual frustration. Production was shut down. Yeah. They caught it in the living room can. Right. She wasn't even thinking about being filmed. She was just going on top, venting with the girls in the room.
So then she goes on to say, this is the best relationship that she's ever had by far. The experts did amazing. Couldn't have asked for better. So then he asks, okay, so what's his challenge? So then she comes up with him never being able to say, I love you. And it's just fake because what's on her mind is the fact that they aren't having sex. But she finds a way to just sugarcoat it with, oh, he'll never be able to say I love you. But then she goes on to say she's already in love with him. How?
So how's this relationship a 10 out of 10 when you can't even tell your partner that you're in love with that you love them?
And you're afraid that they don't love you back. And this relationship is a 10 out of 10.
And you're afraid that you telling them that you are in love with them is going to push them away. Does that sound like a 10 out of 10 relationship?
How do you love this man? What has he shown you to make you feel like you love him? Because all I'm getting from you is sexual frustration. You want to do the sex. You're not getting the sex. So how are you in love with this man? That's a huge issue. So Clara wasn't lying when she said she fell in love with everybody. And then that's when Clara pretty much brings up the fact that he's dated women for months to years without no sex. And she feels like the more, or if she brings up sex, the further away he gets from wanting to have sex. So then they fast forward to their living room scene. They talk about what they talked about, you know, at the with the doctors and the pastor. So Ryan brings up his conversation about religion and the kids and things like that. Very surface level. Clara says, yeah, I just want them to be able to make their own decision. And it's like, girl, what are you talking about? They're kids. Kids not going to be able to make their own decision on if they want to go to church or not, Clara. Like, they're not going to want to go to church. They're kids. They're going to want to stay home or they're going to want to play. Ryan brings up the situation about sex and asks Clara, how does she feel about it?
When he asked her, so what are your feelings on, you know, my thoughts about us not having sex right now? She says, well, I don't know everything about you, but I do know you well enough to know that the more I ask for it, the farther away it gets from me. And he's like,
you got that
true
right.
That. And it's like, that is very weird. She goes on to say that, yes, I am sexually frustrated, but I respect you for your decision.
Not the way you were screaming to the girls.
So then Ryan says he just doesn't want sex to just be a checkbox. He wants it to be more meaningful than that. So she says, well, let me just ask about it one more again. Do you see that happening anytime soon? And he's just like, I don't know.
When they were sitting at the couch discussing what they discussed with Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, yo, Ryan was staring in Clara's face like, you better say everything right now or else I'm gonna be pissed off. All right, so yeah, that's it. That's the end of Married at First Sight, season 12, episode 13.
Lord knows I'm ready for this to be over.
Yeah, at this point, it seems more so like a rerun every week.
It's dragging.
Yeah, I'm ready for decision day. If you guys enjoy watching this video, please make sure to give us a like. Also, please make sure you comment, you share, and you subscribe. And please follow us on our Instagram and Twitter at Sugar and Spice 88. We appreciate you guys watching with us, and we hope to see you in our next video. Bye.
Good morning.
Good energy.
Today we gonna spread
Good energy.
Today we gonna share
Good energy.
I go to work.
Today gonna be a great day.
Good
Wake
energy.
up, thank God, drink water, meditate.
Good
First
energy.
5 minutes will dictate your whole day.
Good
All
energy.
about that positivity and raising up your frequency.
Good
If you
energy.
negative, you will get removed immediately.
Good
Say
energy.
eat clean, alkaline, nourishing.
Good
What you
energy.
put